We've got to talk about this bass here for a sec. My fall project, which is becoming my winter project. I made mistakes. As I've shown in previous videos, I made mistakes when I was painting it, and I made mistakes when I was putting... Actually, the whole idea that I had was a mistake, which was to put pigment into wipe-on polyurethane. I put many coats on this, and then I lost count. I put many coats on this, and then I've sanded it down a little bit just to see if I could even it out, and as you can see, it is definitely not even. So I'm gonna sand it even more down, and I'm gonna paint it again, which I would have to do anyway, because yesterday, as I was sanding it, I dropped it on the ground. And it hit the concrete step I was standing next to. You can see here how it took a couple of hits on the... So I've actually sanded this down as much as I could just prior to sitting down here. I'm gonna have to definitely fix that spot as much as I can. It feels fairly smooth except for the big one here that doesn't really feel smooth. But this one, the little one, and the one on this side, they feel fairly smooth. So yeah, thankfully I didn't do a whole lot on the back of it. So it's not as bad as this one, which has a thicker layer of polyurethane on it. So that's a learning experience. Do not put pigment in wipe-on poly if you want a even result. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to mix a new pink paint that is mixed with acrylic medium, and I'm going to paint that by hand, just like I did on the edges when I was preparing those before. And once that's done, I'm gonna coat the whole thing in clear polyurethane without pigment. But yeah, that's more than I have had time to do in this last week, so unfortunately I'm not as far along with this project as I had wished. However, part of that is also because I got distracted with another project, which I've mentioned before, the tale of the two Stratocasters. Let's take a look at what I've been working on with the other guitars that I've got going on. So we'll talk more about this when I have some hopefully good news to share. Let's talk about Strats, baby. Here is once again the actual winter project that I had planned. It's a humbucker single coil. It's actually going to be humbucker single coil, but it's routed for 2 humbuckers, and it's a cheap body from China, but it's got good heft. It's not too heavy, not too light. Okume wood. It's going to be one solid color, so it doesn't really matter that, you know, center line is not really straight. Doesn't matter at all. However, there's also progress on the other one. There's actually much more progress on the other one. So I'm going to show that one now. This is where we are now with this body. So this body was the 1 pound and 14 ounce body that I first ordered and then discarded because it's too light. And I was going to just play around with it. It had a really big piece of wood filler right here, so I had to sort of, when I painted it or colored it, I had to really lower that down to cover that, because I first stained the wood grain in this with colored wood filler, and I colored it blue with dye. Didn't stick with the wood filler, so I ended up actually coloring the wood filler in with a Sharpie. It turned out alright, I think, compared to me not having really any experience with that. And I've been adding several coats of polyurethane to this since then, which you can see is the sheen that's on it. So I have a couple more coats on that to go, and then I'm going to sand it out to make it flat. You can actually, if you can see here where that big spot is, you can still see it in the surface. So it's never going to be completely smooth. This guitar is simply not worth the effort to get a complete glass-like finish on it.
So this is what's going in there. And I'm going to put some blue buttons on, and I'm going to put some blue pickup covers on. So it's going to look pretty interesting. And then, of course, the red kill switch. I like this project more and more. As a side project, I really didn't have any expectations for it, and so I guess that's why I've just felt free to play around with it and have fun. And that's where we are. I'm probably, who knows when I'm going to end up finishing this guitar. Maybe I'll finish it before any of the other projects. I wouldn't be too surprised.